Base Case Season 2, Episode 17. What are you working on? Part 1. What are you working on? I have a friend of mine, a former student now in the professional world, and we generally open our conversations when we see each other with that question. It's a real question, and it's a loaded question, but mostly it's a fundamental question of where you're at as a musician. What am I working on? If you're in school, particularly music school, that question is generally easy to handle. You're overloaded with work. You've got work from your private teacher, your ensemble director, your techniques classes, your ear training and theory, your music history classes, and whatever else you're taking. And it's up to you to put that together and get it done right. We've talked about that in previous episodes. But what about during the summer? What about after graduation? What about when you're in the teaching world? Or just the working world where you're working a regular job, not in music, but you play and you're keeping up with that. You've got to be able to answer that question of what are you working on? And not only answer the question, but answer it honestly and with detail. A general answer starts the conversation. What are you working on? Focused on all my life as a bass soloist. Oh, how so? I'm working on electric bass and double bass pieces and putting a set, a recital together. Some of the pieces are there, some are not, and I'm placing focus on the ones that aren't there. And I could go into detail about the pieces and the problems I'm having and how I'm solving them and so on. And there's other concepts I'm working on. But what are you working on? If you're going to progress, get better as a bass player, you've got to be working on something. This something has got to have a start and finish to it. It's important. About 10 years ago, I was having the front part of my house painted, so my studio was closed down completely. I moved everything out of my home studio, and I moved one of my electric basses to the bedroom and a Paul Chambers book of solos. And the studio was down 3 or 4 days. And I thought, I'm going to make something out of this. There was something simplistic about it, just Paul Chambers solos and one electric bass. And I learned from the sheet, and then without it, the 5 courses of F blues that Paul plays on Straight Note Chaser. I can still play that solo from memory. And I still play lines from those solos in my own solos. And it was sweet, and it really got the job done. And I've done it with numerous things. That's what we're talking about when I'm saying, what are you working on? It's the stuff that I'm working on. It has to have a start and finish, like those 5 choruses of Paul Chambers solos, which didn't have to have 5 choruses. I could have just did 1 chorus. But I wanted to get those 5 choruses down, and I had some time, and I had practical use, and I wanted to play that solo, and there was no other distractions, meaning I didn't have to play any double bass stuff because that was all locked up. And I wanted to, as I always am, trying to absorb Chambers' language into my playing. It doesn't necessarily have to be a transcription. Maybe it's a scale. Maybe it's the major scale. I want to play C major scale on double bass with the bow, 1 octave in first position. That's a good thing to be working on. That scale might be the total focus of your life. You might be an accomplished bass player that can walk lines over changes, but your scales aren't together. There you go. Accomplishing things like that build confidence, and it also builds momentum. One of the keys to this, and it helps with the confidence and momentum, is that the thing that you are working on has got to be doable. It's got to be in 1 sentence. If you're not used to doing this, the short-term goals are great, like the scale. Like walking through changes with the play along on YouTube if you're not used to doing that. I've got some beginner bass players. Something too big or too difficult will cause you to lose interest. Don't try to be impressive. If you're not used to doing this, make it easier than you think you can handle. Find your way into this. If you're new to transcribing, the goal will just be one phrase or section. If it's scales, it's not all the scales or even all the keys, just one key with one scale. It feels good just to have small goals. Kenny Werner said that. But bottom line, what are you working on? That should be a question you can handle in one sentence. If you have questions, email me at phil@basecase.co. I'll talk to you soon.